Ever tried out Recycled or a similar off-meta weapon for fun? Loved it, but not played it in comp because it was bad? Well, I want to help you understand that meta isn't the only thing you can run in comp, and also at the same time how to have conversations with people that may be running something that you'd rather not have to play with. First off, meta isn't hard and cold what's best. You've probably heard this a lot, but the definition of meta is the most effective strategies, tactics, or builds that are commonly used and accepted as optimal within a particular game, especially in competitive settings. Now, that's based on conception, not perfectly what is something that's good. You can totally miss out on something, like, for example, at the start of Splatoon 3, it took people a bit to realize just how strong Splash was. And it wouldn't be considered meta until that time, even though it was insanely strong. And if you put someone on a meta weapon that they're not used to, when they've only been playing off meta weapons, they will play worse. For example, if you put a roller player on Mint, even though Mint is, in theory, the better weapon, they still will play worse because they just don't know how to use Mint as a weapon. They're used to V-Roller. And to say it simply, the meta isn't by everyone, and therefore doesn't work for everyone. Now, off-meta isn't always best either. You need to learn your weapon deeper to be able to use it effectively, and will probably have a harder time finding people that would want to play with you. And I would like to talk about how I think conversations around the off-meta contents of someone's weapon pool should be handled so that both sides can say what they would like to say, but also at the same time not hurt each other. So, for example, someone's playing Arrow, and if you're most people in the Splatoon community, you don't really particularly care to play with an Arrow just because the weapon's not strong. And if you want to ask them to change to a weapon, make sure it's a request, and generally give reasoning, like, hey, maybe could you change to V-Shot? It has a lethal bomb, and it has Zuka, and it can also fight better than Arrow can. Or change to N-Splash, which you can still play with a more passive playstyle on N-Splash, but you still have a lethal and you have strikes. These are just my opinions, but I think it helps having some framework to go off of when having conversations like this. And I have said before, but I'd like to say it again, that you can absolutely run off meta and it'd be stronger and you would play it better than if you played meta. Because you don't play the game the exact same way everyone else does, so that generally means something's going to be different for you. Unless it's just so stupidly strong, which it's really not right now. Just the only thing is, generally, if it comes down to the individual weapon's strength is the reason it's off meta, which is a lot of weapons, you're going to need to know your weapon deeper than all the other meta weapons that are run at the time. If you want to beat teams that are just running, in theory, stronger team comps. And you still do need to understand the meta. It's just, the meta's already strong in and of itself. You're going to have to understand the different things that make your weapon strong that you can play against the meta to beat the meta at what the meta's bad at. Take Leader, for example. It has very strong one-shot and easily the longest range in the game. But it has low paint and is at least worse than Pin on stopping itself from getting rushed, and it also doesn't have Cooler, which I do mention that because Anchor is generally the spot you want Cooler in. So you play to the strengths of the one-shot and the range, like in your individual playstyle, and then also your team's playstyle, like you build a team comp that can, like, work around that, like something that can maybe always go attack forward. Now, some weapons will be very, very hard to make work, but they'll still be doable. Just know that sometimes, if you just want to, like, be good at the game and can still enjoy the weapon for your progress in the competitive scene, it might just be a better idea to just learn the meta weapon that would go in the slot that you want to play in. Because you won't be able to force every single thing if you just have a worse off weapon. If you want to learn how to have a fully optimized, off-meta team comp that's still unique, then click on this video, and if you want to see more stuff like this, then subscribe.